Good morning, everyone, and happy Memorial Day weekend. This is Kim with Ramblings with Kim. Yes, you're getting another one because in the middle of yesterday's podcast, my husband received a priority mail letter. Now, I had left my $200 coat at the Aspen Post Office on Thursday because I was so shook up before I accidentally hit this pole that I forgot it. Now, I thought I was going back to be retrained because that's what Eric said. And I guess I don't know why I was believing him at this point. I mean, if you're going to go so far as to falsify a police report, why? I mean, that's who I am. I've always been that way. I have a trusting personality. There are times I can look at somebody and kind of go, yeah, that doesn't seem quite right. And now looking back, I, I kind of, I, I kind of got that feeling about Greg after the first couple of days. Jackie and I hit it off, who's a supervisor, kind of right away. But I'm always just me. I never pretend to be anyone else. Like I said, I try to keep more to myself because I was really trying to concentrate hard on learning the job and uh, doing it to the best of my ability. And particularly since I went in there and I didn't get any training from them, I was very nervous as to what was happening. And so after I handed Eric the training booklet and he said it was a suggestion, I just went, oh, if it's a suggestion, now I'm really nervous because there isn't a line of travel. I'm being trained by somebody who got a half a day's training by the person whose route it was. And they had only been there for a week. So he didn't even know, as I found out later, where everything was. So he wasn't showing me everywhere to go. He was skipping over places. And then after a half a day, he decided he was going home. So he left me to finish up the other half of the day. Now, the important part of this is that this person had been a city carrier. I had not. I was brand new to being a city carrier. So this individual had spent like 9 months as a city carrier. So I didn't even know how to be a city carrier except for like the week I spent in training. The vehicles, the way that you delivered the mail, the everything was just like, you know, you just drop somebody somewhere and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And so I text Jackie and I said, I don't know where anything is at. I'm so sorry. I hate to bother you. It's my first day. And so she was sweet enough to come out and show me where everything was at. I still couldn't find everything, of course. And this continued on until Friday when every day they were telling me, well, Greg's going to train you. Greg's going to train you. We're going to get Greg to train you. Well, Greg wouldn't train me. He would train one of the men, but he refused to train me. And then I got someone to train me who actually did a really good job of training me. But there were a few things that I think he skipped over because he had worked for the post office for so long that it's just one of those things that you just kind of, well, I don't really have to do that because I've learned other ways to do these things. And I'm sitting here going, well, I'm going to go by the book. Okay. First of all, I should explain why I'm doing this again. So I didn't get my coat. I got a letter from Eric Sanchez. So we all know, I readily admit that I scraped that pole. I do. Because of the falsified police report and the fact that I was getting harassed and bullied and the union wasn't getting anywhere with them. And then they pulled me into the office when there wasn't any women around. So I was getting even more bullied by even more men. So I'm the only female that's just continuously getting bullied by men in this office. And I'm like, this is so wrong on so many levels. By the time Thursday hit and I was called into the office and said, I don't want to talk to anyone without my female union steward or my attorney. And they were telling me, well, that is your union steward. And I said, I don't trust him. Well, this paper that I got in the mail was the reason I didn't trust him, because he should have been looking out for my best interest, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He wasn't looking out to try and help and train me, because he didn't, like he said he would. And by the time I left that room, I'm not ashamed to admit, there were tears coming to my eyes, because I was so exhausted from being bullied and battered and any other abusive term you can come up with that was being allowed to happen to me at the Aspen Post Office. And they know this is going on. Yes, Greg McCorkle beat up a man. That doesn't make it any better. Just because you don't want to listen to a woman, just because now it's a woman that's saying it, and so now we can really not believe anything she's saying. Now, before, the police reports show that the two men were kind of exchanging stupidities back and forth, is what I want to say. Like they were flipping each other off, they were calling each other names, blah, blah, blah. I never did any of that, ever. I never said anything. I never did anything. The only thing I ever said was when Greg came and blocked me in my case and said, did I do something to upset you? After bullying me and being called in for grievances constantly and not supposed to be talking to me, according to Eric Sanchez. And I just said, yes, but I cannot talk to you about this right now. And he kept going on. I said, look, Greg, I can't do this. I was sitting there trying to finish up my days in work that I had to finish up before a certain time because I was apparently getting in trouble for not getting it done fast enough. And he just got mad and said, fine, and stomped off. And I'm like, I have to do my work. You know you're doing these things to me. The union is telling you you're doing these things to me. You're not supposed to be talking to me. And I'm trying to finish up my work. I'm trying to learn my job. And I can't learn my job if I have to worry about you coming over here and bullying me constantly. And you putting both hands on your case so I can't go anywhere unless I do exactly what you want me to do, is bullying me. Not drinking Diet Pepsi today. So, Eric Sanchez on, let me pull up my dates, on the 18th of May, told me that he would call me when he had a date set to retrain me on the ProMaster. Wayne looked at me and said he would call when they had a date set to retrain me on the ProMaster. That I went home and I told my husband what happened. And that's when I said, my husband and I had this bet. Now, I was intent on retiring because it wasn't worth it anymore to work at this place. For the post office to allow someone like Eric Sanchez to run the Aspen Post Office and to literally run it into the ground and to abuse and target and lie and cheat and basically steal from the American public by allowing him unlimited funds to bring in additional people to work there while driving out females who weren't costing them, the American public, an arm and a leg to work at the post office. Because again, remember, I'm just making my hourly wage. I'm not making, per diem or lodging or travel costs. I'm simply making my $22 an hour. Yeah, it's not much, is it? I'm not being put up in a hotel. Again, I'm in my lovely trailer. Isn't it wonderful? Okay, so, and while we're at it, to everyone on TikTok that's been showing me love, I know I've got thousands and thousands of people on TikTok that have been listening to my stories and, or not stories, but my experiences. And I just want to shout out to them that I truly, truly appreciate you all. Just in case you might have crossed over to YouTube at some time, or Twitter, or Instagram, or any of the other places that you might be following me at. So then I get a text message, of course, from Wayne telling me that Eric wants me to report to work at 9 a.m. on Monday. Not he wants to see me at 9 a.m. Monday. Not that he wants to have a meeting with me at 9 a.m. Monday. Not that he wants anything else. He wants me to report to work at 9 a.m. Monday. What does that mean to you? Report to work kind of means you're going to work, right? You're kind of in the back of my head, even though I'm resigning, I'm thinking, okay, they got somebody they want that's coming up to train me at 9 a.m. Monday. I don't log in because I'm resigning. They don't pay me. I get there and my union steward is running around looking for Eric and she can't find him. So we start talking. and I tell her I'm going to resign. And she said, well, the first thing you need to do when you see Eric is hand him this piece of paper that I had written down that I was resigning. And I said, I had intended to. And she said, good. And then we, talked a little bit about track meet. We had the door open. She got up, she went around, she looked for him again. She couldn't find him. Finally, he shows up. We both walk out of the office and we're looking around. Finally, he shows up. And he's like, well, he's got like this paper. He goes, well, I need to talk to you, give you this. And I'm like, well, I need, to give you this. And he goes, well, someone's in my office. Well, Greg McCorkle's in his office. Why is he in his office? I talking to somebody when he knows apparently he wants to have a meeting with me, right? He's not putting me back to work. He knows that. So what was he going to fire me in the middle of the building? Because that's really professional behavior, isn't it? Yes. Maybe he should have got up on a podium and said, hear ye, hear ye. I am now letting Kimberly Cummings go because I don't actually have a reason except that we bullied and harassed her. And most of you women and some men are witnesses to the fact that we did this. So let this be a warning to you that this could happen to you if you speak out. Okay, I'll get down off my soapbox now. Because this seemed like what he was going to do. And finally, the union steward's like, would you like to use my office? And he's standing there, and I said, here you go, I resign. And he goes, oh, I guess I don't need to give you these. So what he apparently had been doing was sending me a certified letter that had been written on May 19th, but had been mailed at 9:05 on the 22nd of May, saying that I had been relieved of my duties because of unsatisfactory behavior. There was no attempt to correct this behavior. It had all occurred after Greg had gotten involved. It had all occurred after the union had gotten involved. It had all occurred after I had started reporting the bullying and the harassment. It had all occurred after I had reported the fact that I had been threatened to be shot and that Eric had falsified the police reports. It had all occurred after I reported the shooting to the Postal Police IG department. It had all occurred after that. And apparently, that's why I'm unsuitable to work for the post office. Because instead of doing his job, which meant the minute that I said I was harassed, he was to bring in human resources. He thought he was above that and didn't need to do that. So he decided he was going to join in with the bullying so that he could eventually bully me to the point that he could fire me. After 2 weeks. After 2 weeks of him never once saying anything about my job performance, after never once Jackie saying anything about my job performance except for the fact that I should come in at 8 o'clock, I should come in at 9 o'clock. After Jackie explained the certifications only to find out that she had been doing the certifications incorrectly. And I said I didn't care how they were done. I just felt that they weren't as secure as they should be if everyone had access to them. But that's my personal opinion, working with top secret documents. And my husband works with top secret documents all the time. So, but that's kind of the way I talked about it, in this voice. That's pretty much the way she and I talked all the time, unless we got excited about something. And we all know how Wayne treated me, who then ran out of the building saying he needed to get his route done. But I was told by a supervisor, Jackie, that Wayne would wait as long as possible so he could get as much overtime as possible. So he would drag out his job or his route so he could make as much money as possible. And he would come back with tons of boxes and mail. But he'd been working with the post office for a long time and was protected. And as union president, he could be fired by management. Why the union has not done anything about the way he talked to me only goes to prove how I feel about unions. Now I'm hoping that the other union steward will actually do something, and has actually been doing something all along, and hasn't been lying to me. Although I have been reporting things to the IG. Now, Jackie told me that she had been doing things all along, and that I shouldn't go to the IG because it could disrupt whatever they're trying to do. But since I haven't seen any of the grievances that were filed on my behalf, I don't know what's being said on my behalf from the union. What I do know is that what Eric Sanchez did was basically illegal. You can't fire somebody before you talk to them to let them know they're being fired in the post office. And then basically have it run through the meter, but not actually have it in the letter in the mail. So he's a snake. I mean, he's just a snake. It's horrible. It's just, the whole thing is just seriously, IG, what are you going to do? Whatever made you think that you should hire this person? Whatever made you think that? And whatever made you think regardless of the unions, that you should keep on Greg McCorkle so he could come after someone else? Because obviously the postmaster's not going to do anything to him. We can see that. I've got enough documented proof to prove that. I got a letter from Eric where he could have called me in on the 19th, called me back to work on the 19th, and told me that. But he decided to wait until Monday. And I do have a witness, although she wasn't supposed to be there. So technically, she wouldn't have been able to be there anyways. I mean, they were calling me back to work, so if I had gone back to work on Friday, I would have just thought they were calling me back to work to be trained on the ProMaster again. But my guess is they had to be able to hire somebody. So they had to actually fabricate their story well enough to be able to do that. Ironically enough, the trainers that had trained me said they need people so badly that the situation I found myself in, more than likely, they were going to let me back on the streets the next day. Because, particularly in my situation, because it is directly attributed to Eric and Greg. That's the only reason that happened. I have not had an accident in 30 years. The only reason I had an accident is because of Greg and Eric. And then they send this letter to my house. Is that a direct threat? Letting me know that they know where I live? That Greg might show up there one day with a gun? Now it's telling me I really need a restraining order against this man. Actually, both of them. Like I said, I'm not going back to the Aspen Post Office with those two. They're literally crazy. Full stop. And they have abused their power beyond belief. Why? Why would anyone do this unless they have to? And the answer I get from most people that were working there is they have to. And no one should have to work for people like that. Just because they're single parents. No. Post office, you need to do better. We're back to that again. You need to do better. And quit letting him lie. Quit covering for him. Because I'm tired of it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to end up in Washington, and I'm going to start patrolling the halls of Congress and showing them this letter and showing them the police report and showing them all my documentation. And I'm going to go from House member to House member to House member to Senator to Senator to Senator. I am going to go to every person I can to show them what is happening at Aspen. Because if it's happening at Aspen, it's happening elsewhere. And you talk about fraud, waste, and abuse. This is fraud, waste, and abuse. This was a fraudulent claim to waste taxpayers' money and abuse their faith by bringing in someone else and having them pay thousands of dollars more each month so that these two could play petty high school games. Like I said yesterday, it's Military Appreciation Month. I didn't get much of it at the Aspen Post Office. My husband's did it. My entire family deserves better. So I'm going. My birthday always falls on Memorial Day weekend. My son's coming up. My gorgeous daughter-in-law is coming up. And I can't wait to spend the weekend with them. So, to everyone who has been watching and to everyone who has been shouting out on my TikToks, love you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye.